How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Scott Caan-Cast. I'm your host, Dylan Fleury from Kick Punch Stomp, also known as KPS. And if you're new to the program, which I guess obviously you are because this is the first edition, what we're doing here at the Scott Caan-Cast is we'll be looking at the career of the award-winning James Caan's son, Scott Caan, who I don't think has actually ever won an award for acting, which is quite the shame, because as you'll see here through this somewhat career retrospective, we'll be looking at Scott Caan's acting career, and honestly, he should have won an award by now. I would argue an Oscar. I haven't looked at his filmography in a while, but I think Varsity Blues comes to mind. He's quite captivating as Tweeter. I rather enjoyed his performance, and I think it's a shame he wasn't recognized. But anyways, let's break it down. Let's get into it. And as you'll get to know from subsequent episodes, it's best to listen to this podcast with a nice glass of wine, which I am doing right now. A nice red. I don't know the label. It was a gift, but it is quite tasteful. But yes, so what we're going to do for this inaugural episode, the first episode, if you may, is just kind of, pop up the Google, go to the Wikipedia, and just get to know Scott Caan on a personal level before we really get into his filmographies. So I'm going to do that right now. Sorry for the clicking noises. I use a mouse because my trackpad is broken on my laptop. But here we're going now, typing in Scott Caan in the Google. And first things that comes up is quite a few nice pictures of Scott. Quick little bio on the side. Scott Andrew Caan, good to know his middle name is Andrew, is an American actor. He currently stars as Detective Danny Dano Williams in the CBS television series Hawaii Five-0, for which he was nominated for a Golden Globe Award. So, already, I must offer apologies, as I did not think that Scott Caan had been nominated before, but as a true Scott Caanite as myself, I should have known that. Again, I apologize. This is my first episode. Let's dive in. Let's click on his IMDb page. And I wasn't far off. He's only been nominated for 5 awards and has won 2. When we're looking back, out of all the awards, the first one came in 1998. He was nominated for a Cine Vegas International Film Award for his film Last Resort, which actually came out in 96. So interesting there. He also had another Cine Vegas International Film Festival Award, where he actually won for Dallas 362. I have not seen this movie, but I'm sure it is quite captivating, as is his performance. What else do we have here? Oh yes, he actually won a TV Guide Award for Favorite Romance for Hawaii Five-0 with Alex Laughlin. I have not seen Hawaii Five-0, but I'm sure if I watch this, it would be my favorite romance as well. Right now, that probably is a close tie with all the Entourage characters, but I'm also a big fan of Ted Mosby and Barney Stinson. But it's mainly Entourage. And he also has some Teen Choice nominees, Hawaii Five-0 as well as Ocean's 13, a Phoenix Film Critics Society Award, Ocean's 11 as well. Oh, sorry, not as well. For the first time. Ocean's 11's MTV Movie Award. And as we mentioned before, the nominee for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in a Series, Miniseries, or Motion Picture made for television, Hawaii Five-0, 2011. As I said, I have not seen Hawaii Five-0, but I'm looking quite forward to breaking it down with you. So let's click here on his Wikipedia page. I will not read the entire thing. One thing that does stand out is he was on Entourage for 2009 to 2011, which I remember that. I was quite fond of his performance. I think an Emmy or a Golden Globe nomination would have been, uh, let's say, rather, it should have happened. I cannot think of a fancy word, but it should have happened. He was really good. I remember a specific scene when he's talking to E about Sloane. He's telling him to forget about her in a very more vulgar way. But the cuts on it were very well. They were edited well, and he was very convincing. Um, I also did not know this, but in 1990, he was part of the rap group, the Hooligans, with The Alchemist. I pronounced it Hooligans because there's a W. It's spelled WHOOLIGANZ. Um, the duo went by the names Mad Skills and Mudfoot, respectively. Um, so that means that Scott Caan was Mad Skills and The Alchemist was Mudfoot. Quite the names for the Hooligans. I have not heard their music, but I will definitely be downloading it and I will be reviewing it for you. Early life. As we mentioned before, James Caan is his father, Sheila Marie Ryan, his mother. He was born Jewish immigrants from Germany. He has an older half-sister and 3 younger half-brothers. So, what that means is that I guess James Caan was rather promiscuous. I don't know if his half-brothers and sisters are also half-brothers and sisters, and James Caan has, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children? Are they all separate? All the rest are Alexander James Caan, Jacob Nicholas Caan, and James Arthur Caan. It's interesting. Tara does not have a middle name, supposedly. It's just Tara Caan, but that's her. Yes, so Caan was a roadie for the rap group Cypress Hill and House of Pain. So I guess that's how he started the Hooligans. He actually met Alchemist there. They recorded the album Make Way for the W, but after their first single, Put Your Hands Up, the album was shelved and the duo was dropped by Tommy Boy. Not to be mistaken for the movie Tommy Boy or Thomas Boy, starring Christopher Farley. Very, very well made film. Yes, it doesn't look like his rapping career went very far. Seems like they heard his music and must have hated it and shelved it, but I'm going to dig deep to find it. And yes, as we said, he attended the Playhouse West Acting School in LA, and he did a lot of independent low-budget films before his first major motion picture as Charlie Tweeter, a reckless Texas football player in Varsity Blues. As I said, one of my favorite films, but it should not be mistaken for my favorite, which happens to be Ready to Rumble with David Arquette. Quite possibly a classic in the wrestling genre. The only other wrestling film that I think challenges it as the best is The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, but it fails to really captivate the true tone of wrestling, especially back in the 2000s with the WCW going off the rails. The Wrestler's too depressing. Ready to Rumble is a fun romp. But yes, he also did all the Ocean's 11's movies. Into the Blue with R.I.P. Paul Walker. We also starred with In Varsity Blues. Of course, I should have known that. 2 Blue movies, if you were keeping track. Very interesting. I would like to see a cut version of Into the Varsity Blues. I don't know if it's made, but if it is, I would watch that. About a bunch of college football or high school football players who end up swimming at the beach. I don't know how it would work, but I'm sure somebody could figure it out. As we said, Hawaii Five-0 is kind of where he's called home. He was actually ranked number 95 on TV's Most Sexiest Men in 2011. I would have put him number one, but that's just me. He also looks to pursue photography. He's a big fan. It's interesting. I might have to check out some of his work. He has a book published, 256-page book entitled Scott Caan Photographs, Volume 1. I might have to buy that. I'd rather enjoy it. I don't know if he wrote anything about it. There's no Wikipedia page for it, but I'll Google it. I'm sure it's on there. Maybe take it out of the library. I have a card. For those of you who think Scott Caan is simply an actor or photographer, he's also a volunteer. He's an active volunteer with Surfers Healing, an organization which introduces children with autism to the joy of surfing, as well as similar groups such as A Walk on Water, TheraSurf, and Life Rolls On. Those are not other things he introduces children with autism to, which I thought was its other organizations he works for. Which makes sense because you can't teach children to walk on water. Yet. It's very nice of Mr. Caan. I might have to donate some money to those programs. And I'm very curious if this became before or after his work of Into the Blue. I'm not quite sure. Here's another fun tidbit. Scott Caan is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I would love to see him maybe pursue a career in MMA or just Jiu-Jitsu. Eddie Bravo does invitationals. I would watch him. Or at least get him a character in the UFC video games. I'd love to play a Scott Caan and fight people. So, let's make it happen for EA Sports UFC 4. Or I could just create it myself, but well, we'll see. And to top it off, in 2014, Scott Caan married his girlfriend, Casey Bixby. Quite the unusual name, B-Y-X-B-E-E, never seen it. It's not sure if she maybe was a stripper or a porn star before. It looks like she still goes by Bixby. I would change it to Caan, but that's just me. If I married Scott Caan, which I wouldn't. But if I did, I would take his last name. Without question. But he's actually expecting his first child. Oh, sorry. They were expecting, and they did have their first child, Josie James. Good for him. Good for him. As I said before, he was in quite a few movies. To name Varsity Blues as his first, must have been his first major role. Not sure if I said that or not. He was in quite a few other movies. Enemy of the State comes to mind, one I recognize. But yes, some of my favorites, Varsity Blues, as I said before, Ready to Rumble as well. I haven't seen Gone in 60 Seconds in a while. He plays Timmy Tumbler Tummel. I'm a fan of alliteration, so I might just watch it for that sake. Hopefully they call him Timmy Tumbler Tummel fully in the movie. I doubt they will, but I would quite enjoy that. As I said before, Into the Blue, Ocean 11 movies. Other than that, nothing major. It looks like he will be returning to the screen in 2018 in the film Untogether. It's currently in post-production. He plays Ellis. We will check that out in quite a second. Here's an interesting fact. I did not know he was in the TV show Vice Principals. He plays Sweat Dog's trainer. I don't know if he trains sweaty dogs, or if his name is Sweat Dogs, or if he trains Sweat Dogs, who is another person, or possibly a dog. I'll have to catch up on Vice Principals and let you know. He was also in NCIS Los Angeles in a crossover episode with Hawaii Five-0. I have not seen this, but once I start watching Hawaii Five-0, I will watch this crossover episode. I'm quite interested to see him interact with LL Cool J, which I believe is on this show. Yes, he is. And Together, if any of you are interested in, follows the affair between Andrea, a former teen prodigy turned heroin addict, who's trying to be a writer now that she's sober, and Nick, a writer. I'm just going to stop reading it now because it looks like Scott Caan's name is not in the plot, and as this is the Scott Caan-Cast, I do not give a shit about anything that Scott Caan is not referenced in. And that should quite do it for this introductory episode in the Scott Caan-Cast, episode number 1, if you may. As I said, I'll be looking at the filmography of him. I might also do some fun facts here and there. Who knows? They might be separate episodes, they might be a part of it. I'm not quite sure how this will work out. I'm just spitballing at the moment. But if you enjoyed it, please listen to subsequent episodes. Like, share, and subscribe to Kick, Punch, Stomp, aka KPS. And as always, I'm your host, Dylan Fleury. And hopefully we might get some guests on this show. Obviously the main goal is to get Scott Caan himself, but we will work to it. Thank you for listening, and have a Scott Caan of a day.